Chapter 1. The Descent. In the darkness of the Egyptian night, a lone figure stood at the entrance of an ancient tomb, prepared to embark on a journey that would defy the boundaries of time. Dr. Jameson, a renowned archaeologist, felt the weight of history pressing down upon him as he gazed into the yawning maw of the tomb. With a deep breath, he recited a twisted version of a familiar children's rhyme, casting an eerie spell upon the air. As his team members readied their equipment, Dr. Jameson's mind churned with internal struggles and fears. The dimly lit, claustrophobic nature of the tomb bore down on him, enveloping him in a suffocating embrace. The air was thick with anticipation, and the sense of foreboding loomed heavy in the ancient corridors. "Are you ready, Doctor?" one of his team members asked, their voice quivering with trepidation. Dr. Jameson nodded, his jaw set in determination as he prepared to descend into the depths of the tomb. "Let's not keep history waiting," he replied, his words laden with both resolve and an underlying fear. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinthine passages, the group's footsteps echoed ominously against the weathered stone walls. Eerie whispers seemed to emanate from the ancient carvings, their words lost to time but not to the unsettling atmosphere they created. Dr. Jameson couldn't shake the feeling that unseen eyes were fixed upon them, watching their every move with a malevolent intent. The oppressive weight of the tomb bore down upon them, and Dr. Jameson's unease grew with each step. Unexplained sounds echoed through the narrow passageways, and fleeting glimpses of something sinister darted through his peripheral vision. The shadows seemed to come alive, reaching out to ensnare them in their cold embrace. "Are we truly alone in here?" Dr. Jameson muttered to himself, his heart pounding in his chest. The significance of their discovery was not lost on them as they pressed forward, but so too were the potential dangers that lurked within these ancient walls. The sense of dread continued to mount as they ventured deeper into the heart of the tomb, unaware of the horrors that awaited them in the darkness. Chapter 2. Whispers in the Dark. Dr. Jameson delves deeper into the tomb, his footsteps echoing ominously against the ancient stone walls. The air feels heavy, suffocating, as if the darkness itself is pressing down on him, enveloping him in its suffocating embrace. The flickering torchlight casts dancing shadows that seem to come alive, reaching out to him with ghostly fingers. As he navigates the labyrinthine passages, he becomes acutely aware of the unsettling whispers that seem to emanate from the very walls themselves. The voices are indistinct, like fragments of half-remembered dreams, but they send a shiver down Dr. Jameson's spine. It's as though the tomb itself is alive, whispering secrets long forgotten in a language he can't quite comprehend. The oppressive atmosphere becomes almost palpable, suffusing the air with an unshakable feeling of dread. Dr. Jameson's unease grows with each step, his every sense heightened to the point of near hysteria. He starts to question his own sanity as the whispers become more insistent, more urgent, as if urging him to turn back while he still can. Amidst the shadows and silence, he catches fleeting glimpses of something sinister lurking just beyond the reach of his torchlight. A movement here, a glint of eyes there, disappearing as soon as he turns to face them. It's maddening, this constant feeling of being watched by unseen entities that lurk just beyond his line of sight. Despite his mounting unease, Dr. Jameson presses on, his footsteps faltering only momentarily before resuming their relentless march. The weight of the oppressive darkness seems to bear down on him with each passing moment, threatening to swallow him whole and erase every trace of his existence from the world above. And still, the whispers persist, growing louder and more urgent with each passing moment, their cryptic messages burrowing deep into Dr. Jameson's mind like insidious tendrils. He struggles to block them out, attempting to focus on the task at hand, but their relentless presence gnaws at the edges of his sanity. As he ventures deeper into the heart of the tomb, Dr. Jameson can't shake the feeling that he's treading on ground that was never meant to be disturbed. The weight of centuries-old secrets bears down on him like an invisible burden, threatening to consume him in its all-encompassing darkness. The whispers continue to haunt him, their ethereal voices becoming increasingly urgent and desperate with each passing moment. Dr. Jameson's resolve wavers as he battles against the encroaching terror, knowing deep down that there may be no escape from the chilling embrace of the tomb's malevolent presence. Chapter 3: The Curse Unleashed. Dr. Jameson's trembling hand brushed against the ancient hieroglyphics adorning the walls of the tomb, his fingers tracing the ominous markings with an unsettling sense of foreboding. As his torch flickered, casting eerie shadows across the chamber, the inscriptions seemed to come to life, whispering sinister warnings of a curse that had long been dormant. The air grew heavy with an unshakable sense of dread, as if the very walls of the tomb were closing in on Dr. Jameson and his team. The hieroglyphics pulsated with an otherworldly energy, their meaning cryptic and malevolent, hinting at the unspeakable horrors that lay dormant within the ancient burial chamber. Intriguing dialogue echoed through the dimly lit space as Dr. Jameson and his team members huddled together in a desperate attempt to decipher the foreboding inscriptions. Their voices quivered with fear and uncertainty, their words laden with a palpable sense of impending doom. "I've never seen anything like this before," Dr. Jameson murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "These markings, they speak of a curse, a force so ancient and malignant that it defies comprehension." His team members exchanged nervous glances, their expressions reflecting the growing unease that permeated the tomb. Each hesitant word seemed to hang in the air like a heavy shroud, suffocating them with the weight of ancient malevolence. As they debated whether to press on or heed the ominous warnings etched into the very walls around them, a sudden chill swept through the chamber, sending shivers down their spines. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to thicken with each passing moment, as if the curses inscribed on the walls were seeping into their very souls. Dr. Jameson's internal turmoil became increasingly evident as he grappled with the implications of defying the ancient curse. His mind was consumed by a relentless torrent of dread and apprehension, his thoughts consumed by an ever-growing sense of impending catastrophe. The curse had been unleashed, its malevolent whispers echoing through the depths of the tomb, like an ominous prelude to unspeakable horrors yet to come. And as Dr. Jameson and his team stood on the precipice of unfathomable terror, they knew that they had ventured into a realm where ancient forces held sway, a realm from which there could be no escape. The open ending loomed ominously on the horizon, hinting at the lingering horrors awaiting Dr. Jameson beyond the confines of the tomb, a fate from which there could be no reprieve. Chapter 4: Haunting Visions. Dr. Jameson's steps echoed off the ancient stone walls, reverberating through the narrow passages of the tomb. As he ventured deeper into the labyrinthine depths, the air grew heavy with an oppressive silence, broken only by the faint sound of his own breathing. Suddenly, a haunting whisper slithered through the darkness, sending a shiver down his spine. In the dim torchlight, Dr. Jameson's gaze fixated on the walls, adorned with cryptic hieroglyphs that seemed to writhe and shift with an otherworldly energy. As he continued forward, the markings began to warp and contort, twisting into grotesque figures that danced before his eyes. His mind reeled with terror as these haunting visions melded with his reality, blurring the line between nightmare and truth. Unearthly whispers clawed at the edges of his sanity, and he struggled to discern between what was real and what was a product of his fraying mind. The air grew thick with an unseen malevolence, suffocating Dr. Jameson in a web of nightmarish hallucinations. Grotesque figures loomed in the shadows, their ghastly forms contorting and shifting with each flicker of torchlight. Dr. Jameson's heart raced as he stumbled backward, his breaths coming in ragged gasps. He could feel their malevolent gaze upon him, their presence a suffocating weight in the air. Lost in a labyrinth of terror, Dr. Jameson grappled with his unraveling sanity, struggling to cling to the tenuous threads of reality. Each flickering torch cast eerie shadows that seemed to dance and mock him, further fueling his mounting fear. Desperate whispers echoed through the tomb, filling Dr. Jameson's mind with a maddening cacophony of dread. Is this real? Are they real? Dr. Jameson muttered to himself in a voice laced with desperation, his words swallowed by the oppressive darkness. As he stumbled through the twisting passages, his mind became a battleground for sanity and madness, teetering on the precipice of an abyssal void. In that suffocating darkness, Dr. Jameson fought to make sense of his nightmarish ordeal, a lone figure engulfed by the relentless horrors that lurked within the heart of the tomb. The haunting visions continued to assail him, twisting reality into a nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. This is where Chapter 4 ends. Chapter 5: Betrayal in Shadows. Dr. Jameson's team members exhibited strange behavior deep within the tomb. Their eyes held a distant, secretive gaze, and an air of mistrust hung heavy in the claustrophobic air. The dim torchlight cast long, foreboding shadows, emphasizing the growing tension among the group. As Dr. Jameson navigated the labyrinthine passages, he couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was manipulating his colleagues. Their hushed whispers and furtive glances spoke volumes, hinting at betrayal and dark secrets lurking within the shadows of the ancient tomb. "Are you sure we're alone down here?" Dr. Jameson's voice echoed off the ancient walls. His words met with uneasy silence from his team. The oppressive atmosphere seemed to amplify their growing paranoia, and Dr. Jameson felt increasingly isolated in the suffocating darkness. "I thought I heard something," one of his team members muttered, their voice tinged with fear. The unsettling sound of distant footsteps reverberated through the tomb, setting their nerves on edge. Dr. Jameson's heart raced as he grappled with the realization that there was more than just ancient curses lurking within the depths of the tomb. A palpable sense of dread hung in the air, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched by unseen, malevolent forces. The flickering torchlight cast eerie, shifting shadows as they pressed on, each step heightening their apprehension. The weight of history and impending doom loomed over them, intensifying their growing mistrust and paranoia. As they delved deeper into the tomb's foreboding depths, Dr. Jameson couldn't escape the overwhelming sense that they were being led into a trap by forces beyond their comprehension. The chilling realization sank in that there was no escape from the impending horrors lurking in the shadows. Their whispered exchanges hinted at a sinister undercurrent that threatened to tear apart their fractured unity, leaving them vulnerable to the insidious influence of the tomb's dark secrets. The oppressive silence was shattered only by their quickening breaths and shuffling footsteps, each echoing off the ancient walls like a haunting refrain of impending betrayal and treachery. The chapter ends with a lingering sense of unease and apprehension as Dr. Jameson and his team are enveloped in the suffocating grip of fear and mistrust, setting the stage for even greater terror to unfold in Dark Secrets of the Tomb, Dr. Jameson's nightmarish ordeal. Chapter 6: Echoes of Darkness. Dr. Jameson's footsteps echoed through the dimly lit corridors of the ancient tomb, each step reverberating like a haunting drumbeat. The air grew thick with an inexplicable sense of dread, as if the very walls themselves were closing in on him. Every shadow seemed to twist and contort, taking on a life of its own in the oppressive darkness. As he ventured further into the heart of the tomb, Dr. Jameson encountered a series of harrowing trials that tested his willpower and resolve in malevolent ways. Sinister whispers filled the air, their chilling words worming their way into his mind like icy tendrils of fear. The flickering torchlight cast eerie, dancing shadows that seemed to mock his every move. The trials themselves were macabre in nature, designed to prey upon his deepest fears and vulnerabilities. Each one felt like a descent into madness, an unrelenting assault on his sanity. Ghastly apparitions materialized before him, their hollow eyes boring into his soul with malicious intent, while unseen forces tugged at the fringes of his consciousness, threatening to unravel his very being. In the midst of these nightmarish ordeals, Dr. Jameson's struggles began to peel away the layers of his character, exposing his rawest vulnerabilities and most deeply buried secrets. His inner turmoil manifested in desperate whispers that escaped his trembling lips, revealing his profound sense of despair and relentless determination to survive the unyielding terror that engulfed him. Amidst the unending torment, Dr. Jameson grappled with a darkness that seemed to seep into every fiber of his being, threatening to consume him whole. His anguished cries echoed through the labyrinthine passages, a haunting symphony of suffering that resonated with the very soul of the tomb itself. As he navigated the treacherous trials, Dr. Jameson's resolve was pushed to the brink. and yet he pressed on, driven by a desperate need to defy the malevolent forces that sought to claim him. His internal struggle played out in a cacophony of emotions: fear, rage, and an unyielding determination to emerge from the depths of the tomb with his sanity intact. The echoes of darkness reverberated through the ancient corridors, intertwining with Dr. Jameson's maddening journey through the heart of unspeakable terror. The relentless onslaught threatened to break him, yet he refused to succumb, clinging to a sliver of hope amidst the suffocating darkness. As Dr. Jameson's harrowing trials reached their crescendo, an unshakable sense of impending doom loomed over him like a shroud, casting a long shadow over his very existence within the tomb's unfathomable depths. Chapter 7: The Final Revelation. Dr. Jameson's trembling hand reached out to touch the ancient mural etched into the heart of the tomb. As his fingertips grazed the weathered stone, a chilling sensation crept up his spine, sending shivers cascading through his entire being. The mural depicted a grotesque creature, its leathery wings outstretched in a display of malevolence, while its piercing eyes seemed to bore into Dr. Jameson's very soul. A wave of dread washed over him as he realized the true nature of the tomb and the horrifying forces that lay dormant within its depths. The unsettling revelation gnawed at his mind, leaving an indelible mark that would haunt him long after he emerged from the suffocating confines of the ancient structure. The oppressive weight of impending doom hung heavy in the stale air, suffocating Dr. Jameson's every breath as he stumbled back from the mural. The truth had been laid bare before him, and it was more terrifying than anything he could have imagined. As he retraced his footsteps through the labyrinthine passages of the tomb, Dr. Jameson's mind raced with unanswered questions and lingering uncertainties. The unsettling whispers that had plagued him from the moment he set foot in the tomb now seemed to mock him with newfound malevolence, echoing through the depths of his fractured psyche. Emerging from the tomb, Jameson was greeted by the harsh light of day, but even in the blinding brightness, he could not shake off the feeling of impending horror that lingered like a dark specter at the edge of his perception. The open ending of Dr. Jameson's nightmarish ordeal left readers with a profound sense of unease, hinting at the lingering horrors that awaited beyond the confines of the tomb. The chilling revelation had seared itself into Dr. Jameson's soul and would continue to torment him, leaving readers with a lingering sense of terror that defied explanation. The harrowing journey into darkness had left its mark on Dr. Jameson's very essence, casting a shadow over his world that would never truly dissipate. And as readers contemplated the unknown horrors that awaited him beyond the confines of the tomb, they were left with a sense of unease that would linger long after they closed the final pages of this terrifying tale. Thank you for listening to this bone-chilling horror story. I hope it sent shivers down your spine and left you feeling a little uneasy. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more terrifying tales. Your support keeps the fear alive, so stay tuned for more spine-tingling stories to haunt your dreams. Thank you, and may you never venture into abandoned tombs beneath ancient pyramids.